attention. Even for those actions that were withdrawn, people were arrested, questioned, taken to court, and then released. That isn't a law working properly. That is censoriousness of the most intimidating kind, guaranteed to have, as Lord Deer says, a chilling effect on free expression and free protest.
Rowan Atkinson, best known for his legendary comedic personas such as Mr. Bean and Edmund Blackadder, has recently turned his sharp wit and intellect toward a less familiar stage, political critique. This time, the target of his pointed observations is none other than the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Atkinson's recent commentary, delivered with a mix of humor, piercing critique, and a touch of theatrical flair, has sparked widespread debate. It has raised questions not only about Starmer's performance, but also about the role of public figures in holding leaders accountable. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Atkinson, though traditionally known for his comedic roles, is no stranger to voicing his opinions on serious matters. Over the years, he has spoken out on issues of free speech, political correctness, and governmental overreach. His latest remarks, however, represent one of his most direct confrontations with political authority. A man celebrated for his ability to highlight absurdities through comedy, Atkinson took a surprisingly earnest tone in dissecting what he perceives as the shortcomings of Starmer's tenure. This unexpected shift from lighthearted humor to incisive political commentary has captivated audiences across the nation, with many finding his critique both refreshing and illuminating. At the core of Atkinson's argument lies his dissatisfaction with the direction Starmer has taken the country since assuming office. While some see Starmer as a measured and pragmatic leader, Atkinson accuses him of failing to live up to the promises of change and reform that secured his ascent to power. Drawing parallels to his own comedic characters who often find themselves entangled in bureaucratic absurdities, Atkinson suggested that Starmer's leadership has been marked by indecision, a lack of vision, and an inability to connect with the struggles of ordinary citizens. The biting critique struck a chord with a public increasingly disillusioned by what they see as a government that has yet to deliver meaningful progress on key issues. Atkinson's criticism extended to Starmer's handling of the economy, which he described as a comedy of errors. In his view, the government's approach to economic policy has been characterized by missteps, missed opportunities, and an over-reliance on short-term fixes. He pointed to the soaring cost of living, the housing crisis, and stagnating wages as evidence of Starmer's failure to address the root causes of economic inequality. Atkinson's analysis, though couched in humor, revealed a deep frustration with what he sees as a lack of bold initiatives to tackle systemic issues. This sentiment resonates with many who feel that Starmer's leadership has been defined by caution rather than ambition. One of the most striking elements of Atkinson's critique was his focus on civil liberties and free expression. As someone who has long championed the importance of artistic and personal freedom, Atkinson expressed concern over what he perceives as an erosion of these principles under Starmer's government. He pointed to recent legislation and policy decisions that he argued have curtailed individual freedoms in the name of security and public order. Atkinson warned that such measures risk creating a society in which dissent is stifled and creativity is suppressed. This line of criticism not only highlights Atkinson's own values, but also taps into broader anxieties about the balance between freedom and authority in contemporary politics. Another focal point of Atkinson's remarks was Starmer's approach to environmental policy. Despite campaigning on promises of bold climate action, Starmer's government has faced criticism for falling short of its environmental goals. Atkinson accused the Prime Minister of failing to prioritize sustainability and green innovation, suggesting that the government's rhetoric has not been matched by substantive action. He particularly lamented the lack of investment in renewable energy and criticized what he called a tokenistic approach to environmental issues. For Atkinson, this failure represents not just a missed opportunity, but a dereliction of duty in the face of a global crisis. While Atkinson's critique was undoubtedly scathing, it was not devoid of nuance. He acknowledged that Starmer inherited a difficult political landscape, marked by divisions over Brexit, a global pandemic, and economic instability. However, Atkinson argued that these challenges should have inspired bold leadership rather than cautious incrementalism. He drew a comparison to his own experiences as a performer, suggesting that great leaders, like great comedians, must be willing to take risks and push boundaries. In his view, Starmer's reluctance to do so has limited his effectiveness and alienated many of the voters who once believed in his vision. Atkinson's comments have sparked a lively debate about the role of public figures in political discourse. Some have praised him for using his platform to raise important issues and challenge those in power. Others have questioned whether celebrities should wade into political debates, arguing that their opinions often lack the depth and expertise required for meaningful analysis. However, Atkinson's foray into political commentary demonstrates that public figures can bring fresh perspectives to complex issues, drawing attention to concerns that might otherwise be overlooked. In the days following Atkinson's remarks, reactions poured in from across the political spectrum. Supporters of Starmer were quick to defend his record, pointing to achievements such as stabilizing the country's post-Brexit relations and managing the aftermath of the pandemic. They accused Atkinson of oversimplifying complex issues and ignoring the constraints faced by any modern leader. However, critics of Starmer seized upon Atkinson's comments as validation of their own frustrations. They argued that the Prime Minister has failed to inspire confidence or deliver on his promises, leaving many feeling disillusioned and disenchanted. The controversy also reignited broader debates about the nature of political leadership and the qualities required to navigate the challenges of modern governance. Atkinson's critique, though rooted in specific grievances, touched on universal questions about vision, courage, and accountability. It prompted many to reflect on what they expect from their leaders and whether Starmer has lived up to those expectations. In this sense, Atkinson's remarks transcended the realm of celebrity commentary, becoming a catalyst for deeper conversations about the state of British politics. For Atkinson, the response to his critique has been a mix of praise, backlash, and curiosity. Some have lauded him for his courage and insight, while others have accused him of overstepping his bounds as an entertainer. Regardless of the reaction, it is clear that his words have resonated with a public hungry for meaningful dialogue about the direction of the country. Atkinson's unique blend of humor and intellect has allowed him to articulate frustrations that many feel but struggle to express, making him an unexpected but effective voice in the political arena. One of the key elements that has amplified Atkinson's critique is his ability to articulate frustrations that are often buried beneath political rhetoric. Unlike career politicians, whose criticisms of opponents tend to follow predictable patterns, Atkinson brought a fresh, unapologetic tone to his observations. His commentary was rooted in the experiences of ordinary citizens, rather than the insulated world of Westminster. This approach resonated particularly strongly with those who feel alienated by the political establishment, breathing new life into conversations about accountability and governance. By framing his critique in relatable terms, Atkinson has managed to tap into a collective sense of discontent that transcends partisan divisions. Atkinson's focus on Starmer's perceived lack of decisive leadership struck a nerve with many who feel that the Prime Minister has failed to seize pivotal moments to enact meaningful change. Over the past few years, the UK has faced a series of crises, from the pandemic to the aftermath of Brexit, and many hoped that Starmer's leadership would bring clarity and direction. However, Atkinson argued that instead of rising to these challenges, Starmer has often appeared overly cautious, favoring incremental adjustments over bold initiatives. This perception of hesitancy has fueled frustration among those who believe that the country needs visionary leadership to navigate an increasingly complex world. Central to Atkinson's critique was a concern that Starmer's government has been more reactive than proactive, particularly in addressing pressing social issues. The UK has long grappled with inequality, from disparities in education and healthcare to systemic challenges in employment and housing. Atkinson highlighted these issues, pointing to what he described as a lack of cohesive strategy to address them. For instance, the housing crisis, which continues to push homeownership further out of reach for younger generations, has been a glaring issue that many feel has not been adequately addressed. By emphasizing the human impact of these challenges, Atkinson underscored the need for leadership that prioritizes people over politics. One of the more surprising aspects of Atkinson's commentary was his exploration of the cultural and social climate under Starmer's leadership. Known for his staunch defense of free speech, Atkinson expressed concern about what he sees as a growing culture of conformity in public discourse. He suggested that Starmer's government, despite its rhetoric of inclusivity, has contributed to an environment where dissenting opinions are increasingly marginalized. Atkinson argued that this stifling of debate not only undermines democratic principles, but also weakens society's ability to confront its challenges. His critique highlights a broader tension between the ideals of free expression and the realities of political correctness, a debate that continues to polarize opinion in the UK. Atkinson's remarks also touched on the symbolic aspects of leadership, an area where he feels Starmer has struggled to make an impact. Leaders, Atkinson suggested, must not only govern effectively, but also inspire confidence and a sense of purpose. He argued that Starmer has failed to cultivate a compelling vision for the country's future, leaving many voters uncertain about what his government stands for. This lack of a unifying narrative has been a recurring theme in critiques of Starmer's leadership, and Atkinson's comments brought it into sharper focus. For Atkinson, the absence of a clear, inspiring vision is as much a failure of leadership as any policy shortcoming. Another dimension of Atkinson's critique was his analysis of the government's approach to international relations. The UK's role on the global stage has been a subject of intense scrutiny in the wake of Brexit, with many questioning whether the country has effectively repositioned itself in a changing world. Atkinson suggested that Starmer's foreign policy has been marked by missed opportunities to assert the UK's influence and forge stronger alliances. He pointed to the government's handling of trade negotiations, climate summits, and diplomatic relationships as areas where a more assertive and strategic approach could have yielded better results. This critique underscores the interconnectedness of domestic and international policy, highlighting the need for a cohesive strategy that addresses both. Atkinson's decision to speak out has also raised questions about the evolving role of public figures in political discourse. While celebrity involvement in politics is not a new phenomenon, Atkinson's intervention stands out for its depth and focus. Unlike many celebrities who limit their engagement to social media soundbites, Atkinson took the time to articulate a comprehensive critique, complete with specific examples and thoughtful analysis. This approach has sparked debate about the extent to which public figures can contribute meaningfully to political conversations. Critics argue that Atkinson's remarks risk oversimplifying complex issues, while supporters contend that his outsider perspective brings valuable insights to the table. The reaction to Atkinson's critique has been as varied as it has been intense. On one hand, his supporters have praised him for using his platform to speak truth to power, applauding his willingness to tackle controversial issues head-on. On the other hand, his detractors have questioned his qualifications to critique a sitting prime minister, suggesting that his comments reflect a lack of understanding of the challenges of governance. This polarized response reflects a broader cultural debate about the boundaries of expertise and the role of diverse voices in shaping public opinion. Atkinson's foray into political commentary has reignited these debates, prompting reflection on the nature of authority and the value of alternative perspectives. As the conversation unfolds, it is worth considering the broader implications of Atkinson's remarks for the UK's political landscape. His critique has highlighted a growing disconnect between the government and the public, a disconnect that extends beyond Starmer's leadership to encompass the entire political establishment. Many of the issues Atkinson raised, from economic inequality to the erosion of civil liberties, reflect systemic challenges that require more than just a change in leadership to address. In this sense, Atkinson's comments serve as a wake-up call not only for Starmer, but for all those in positions of power. The timing of Atkinson's critique is also significant, coming at a moment when public trust in political institutions is at a low ebb. Across the UK, there is a palpable sense of disillusionment with the political process, fueled by scandals, unmet promises, and a perception that leaders are more focused on maintaining power than serving the public good. Atkinson's intervention taps into this frustration, offering a voice to those who feel unheard and unrepresented. By articulating these concerns, he has helped to elevate them in the national conversation, challenging the political establishment to address them more directly. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Rowan Atkinson's criticism of Keir Starmer? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.